Hello.
Hello again. Second time.
Second part.
So you were saying, yeah, of course.
Yeah, would you like me to continue answering the question?
Yes, I think you probably covered most of it, but if you got anything more to say, yes, please.
Yeah. So dissolve the idea of the world, dissolve the idea of who you are, and dissolve the idea of others. Begin to become a blank slate again, like a child, knowing you know nothing so you can have room for wisdom. Highly important. Cultivating then unconditional love for yourself, unconditional love for your past, how your entire past got you from where you once were to where you are now. Love your story, not identifying with the story, but just loving the story, realizing that without that story, you would not be having this unique moment. Also then loving the present moment, because the present moment is truly all there is. And because you are all that is, when you love the present moment, when you accept the present moment, you're making room for yourself to accept yourself. These are the types of things that are required. And then beginning to act from that place, beginning to let go again from that negative storyline, negative habit patterns, acting from that place of unconditional love. What does it look like to be the force of unconditional love disguised as a human being, navigating Earth? What does that force do? What does that force say? What does that force think about? What does that force do in challenging situations? What does that force do when there's a person hurting? What does that force do when people are celebrating? And beginning to be that force, which is ultimately being yourself, returning your consciousness to your most basal vibration, your most primordial self, which is that of unconditional love. Becoming that and realizing you won't lose anything. You will only gain all that you actually are. And that, I think, is the most important thing. And there's many paths to get there. There are so many paths to get there. Just don't get caught in the trap of my path is the right path and any other path that isn't that is just wrong. Only my path is real love. Let go of that, because that's just creating more hate. It's just creating more separation. And if you're creating separation, you're definitely not creating love. At least not in the small picture.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I would like to add one thing, because when you said to forget our idea of ourselves, I'm finding it easier and easier. And I'm finding that I've been getting intuitions about it. And also goblins have told me about it. And we are coming to the moment when we go and do this, when we forget who we think we are, we begin changing. We shift. We truly and rapidly shift towards what we truly love. Because when we stop fixing ourselves and we let ourselves go free, we really shift. We really change. And it's coming to the point where the change might be also physical. So who would you like to be? And the best part is that we don't have to actually know who we would like to be, because we have it inside. It's inside us. It's who we actually are. So when we stop fixing ourselves with our idea, we begin to flow and we begin to manifest who we really are.
Yeah, exactly. Well put. Very well said.
Thanks. So, would you like to channel anybody? Both if you want for us, thank you very much. And if you want for anybody who will be listening to this interview. Or anybody who comes up.
Yeah. So I would like to channel Ryok, who's my primary guide from Sasani. I have a blast channeling him. So I'm going to go into that state of being to allow for his energy to come through, and then have at it. We could do about 10, 15 minutes. We can go, right now it's about 1 p.m. here. We can go till about 1:15. I'm not sure what time it is. You're in Rome, is that right? In Italy?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we'll go for 15 minutes of a session, and please feel free to engage however you like. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Wait a second. Sorry for everybody, because our son is coming back, and then I was going to to take him because he's apparently crying. And I will continue the interview. And don't worry, she will suit him.
Okay. All right, and we thank you for interacting with us. As always, it is our pleasure to be able to make our acquaintances with each of you. How are you doing this day of your time?
Thank you. We're doing awesome.
Excellent. We are excited to be able to match your excitement. It is, again, a pleasure to be able to have these types of interactions. We thank you for configuring and organizing this interview. We understand that it was met with a great deal of technical difficulty, but despite that, we are in great respect for your dedication to put this on, because it is allowing for many people within your reality to be able to understand a great deal of very important perspectives that are crucial for the evolution of your species.
Thank you very much. Could you please elaborate on these things that you think are very important for people on our planet to understand?
All right. Well, the first thing to understand is fundamentally you are creating your reality. That is the first and foremost most important thing to understand. You are creating everything around you. There is no creator other than yourself. And when we say yourself, we are not referring to the little you on the ground that many of you call the ego. We are referring to the grand infinite you that you call God. You are all extensions of this thing you call God. You are the creator, and all other things in your reality are also God. Therefore, everything in your reality is also the creator. Therefore, everything in your reality is an equal co-creation amongst all extensions and expressions of what you call God. Reminding yourself of this truth every day. You are God. Reminding yourself that when you speak to another individual, that other individual is God. And together, you are creating the reality around you. The idea is, if you find you are creating realities, you do not prefer to take responsibility for that. Own that. Claim that. Make that your creation. Do not leave it up to the idea of randomness or chance or misfortune. Claim it as your creation, because when you claim it, then it is your toy. You can play with it however you want to. It becomes your Play-Doh, your clay. You can configure the clay. You can morph the clay. You can sculpt the clay however you want. And it is with that clay of life we urge you all to play. So begin to claim your reality as your creation. And if you find you're creating something you don't prefer, begin to ask yourself the question, well, why would I create this? What is this teaching me? How do I believe this is serving me? Begin to dissect why you are doing what you're doing, why you are manifesting what you are manifesting, if you find you're manifesting negative things. This is one of the most important messages we have for your planet at this time, because many of you feel that your world is out of your control, when in reality it's never been out of your control. It is all part of the built-in control that is native to your grand spirit and your infinite self. So if you find that world events are getting you down, ask yourself that question, well, why would I create that? And you may find the answers will be very revealing. And this is one of our most crucial messages to all beings on your planet at this time.
Thank you very much. And do you also have a new pathway, a new key to implement the creation of our reality into our everyday life? Something that can help everybody, anybody, to truly begin seeing that they are the creator of their lives?
Yes. One way to do this is to return to the childlike perspective. Because when you are a child, again, you are using the imagination as your primary reality construction tool. Many people in your world today, when they become adults, they cease to use the imagination in its fullest capacity, and instead they use patterns and negative beliefs. Of course, they're using the imagination to use the patterns and negative beliefs as the way in which they sculpt the reality, but they're placing limitations upon the imagination. And what I would recommend personally is to open up the imagination fully. Open up the imagination fully and begin to imagine what it feels like to be in the reality you prefer, to be the version of yourself that you prefer. What does that feel like? What does that look like? How does that version of you act? Imagine that version of you and begin to act as if you are that version. Imagining the version of your earth you wish to be on. What do you do in that version of earth? How does that feel? What does that look like? And embody these imagined concepts as if they were real, as if they were actually happening. Play a game of make-believe with yourself and with life, and life will play with you. That is what I would recommend for all of those who are starting at square one and wish to understand how to create the reality. You must fake it till you make it. You must make believe that that is the version of you are. You must make believe that that's the version of life you are experiencing, that that's the version of the world that you are a part of. And as you crystallize that within yourself, it will become your reality. You will become that person. The idea is to be unwavering. Do not deviate from that state of being once you've created it. Choose it at all times. For when you choose something else, you're shifting onto another timeline altogether. You're shifting into another reality altogether that is not reflective of that imagined state. So choose that state at all times. There's nothing wrong with that. It is your creation. You are God. So create however you wish to create.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You are quite welcome.
Is there anything else you feel it would be of use to everybody who is listening or will be listening to this transmission? Or can we begin with a question about ourselves?
If you wish, you may ask questions about yourself.
No, that's quite boring. Okay, then. Could you please tell us instead something about... very sorry, there's a bit of a thunderstorm here, but fortunately...
It is all right. We are in great admiration for the natural phenomenon you are all experiencing.
So, as I understand, you on your planet work with nature, right?
Please ask this one more time.
If I understand correctly, you are specialized in working with nature on your planet.
Not myself. There are other members of my collective that work very intimately with nature. I, in particular, work with the idea of training hybrid children in developing different esoteric and metaphysical skills, and I also assist your collective in doing the same. However, I can offer some insights into nature as well as the natural world, as I have a great deal of experience with it, although it is not my specialty.
Thank you very much. But if that's the case, could you please tell us this hybrid children program, what is its impact on human consciousness? How does it work?
Yes, please continue.
Mm-hmm. Sorry?
Please continue your question.
Yeah. What are the ways in which having hybrid children impacts first the parents and also the general collective?
All right. Understand that hybrid children allow for a variety of different extraterrestrial cultures, perspectives, beliefs to be infused into the DNA of the hybrid children. Because that DNA is intimately linked with the DNA of your world, it allows for these cultures, these perspectives, these beliefs, these knowingnesses, and these abilities to then be in many ways psychically transmitted from the bodies of the hybrid children, the DNA of the hybrid children, to not only your collective, but all other collectives that they are then linked to the DNA. So it allows for, in many ways, a multi-dimensional, multi-species-based communication to take place. So a variety of different teachings from other worlds can be shared amongst worlds that are all linked via the DNA that is configured within the hybrid child. In general, in terms of how that relates to Earth, one of the things it is doing is it is allowing for the Earth parents to begin to share telepathically that level of communication and information from the hybrid DNA to the parent. It allows for the parents then to be able to tune in to that reality so they can receive a variety of different teachings in general. So it is in many ways upgrading the consciousnesses of the parents, you could say, who have shared their DNA to then create the hybrid child. It allows for them to open up their starseed connections to a variety of different worlds.
Thank you very much. And about these children, I would really love to meet mine, like, I don't know, in a dream or... Yeah, well, okay, thank you very much. Now, how many species are creating hybridizing with us at the moment?
There are a variety of species involved. There are hundreds of species involved, understanding that many beings within the multiverse are part of hybridization programs. They are all donating DNA so that way they can receive some of the benefits from the program. Again, understanding that it allows for all of the DNA from a variety of different worlds to be able to come together in a way that is very balanced and is in many ways in resonance with particular themes that the children wish to explore. So each child in many ways becomes its own school that in many ways then teaches the variety of different species that are involved in the crafting of that child's DNA. The child in many ways represents that way of a master teacher, showing many species a variety of different lessons, and they are able to observe it through the eyes of a child. So it becomes very desirable because the child is one of the most evolved and advanced forms of consciousnesses, because the child in many ways is still intimately connected to source. So the idea is many of these beings get to have a master teacher in the master form of a child, sharing with them a variety of different lessons. But to answer your question simply, there are thousands of different species involved in these programs.
Thank you very, very much. And okay, so will we arrive, or can we rather arrive to the point where we can physically meet those children?
Yes, it is highly probable you will all be meeting the children within about 20 of your years. It may be a little bit less, depending on how things unfold in your reality, but in approximately 20 years, some of the hybrid children that are more human in their appearance will likely be on your world in a way where you can begin to interact with them in a way that is very balanced and progressive for the comfort level of your species, but also in a way that challenges your species as well, in a positive sense. The idea is to extend the heart awareness, not to beings that just look like you, but to beings that may be a little bit more exotic or a little bit more alien in their appearance.
Thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, species through the universe, species are interbreeding also not with people on Earth, with themselves, among each other, correct?
Yes, of course. Species are reproducing within their own species, and they are also in many ways creating brand new species through the hybridization program.
Thank you very much. Okay.
There are, however, some beings that are having difficulties with reproduction, and they have in many ways created difficulties for themselves where they are unable to reproduce or procreate amongst themselves, and they are also involved in the hybridization programs. For this reason, so aspects of their race can still be part of the collective mind via the DNA.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you please share something about the reptilians? Because I've heard that reptilians are hybridizing with us. Could you please share about, do you know anything about their current state, what they're actually doing? How is their civilization reacting to all this light coming from the universe? And also, if they are one species or there are more reptilian species right now?
There are multiple reptilian species and different factions within the species, different groups that come together to explore certain themes. In general, the entire species and diverse range of reptilian-esque species are all going through a variety of different transformations and are selecting a variety of different timelines linked to multiple timeline groups linked to the evolutions of universes. Some of these groups are going into rather negative directions, and they are then shifting to negative versions, negative parallel reality versions of the universe. There are many that are going to highly positive parallel reality versions of the universe, and they are all choosing different collectives to interact with. Some of these collectives are, again, involving your kind, which you call humanity. In general, more of the negative factions are interacting with the negative timeline versions of humanities, and the positive factions are interacting with the positive versions of humanity. The idea is, yes, they are sharing their DNA with you via the hybrid children. In many ways, reptilian DNA is also involved in this process because the reptilians are, again, going through their own transformation, and they are using the idea of the child's DNA to be able to show them through the knowledge of the child, through the purity in that way of the child, how they can go through those transformations. They are doing this in many ways to also receive energy healing, you could say, from that child's consciousness, because that child will in many ways be a master species. It is in many ways the compilation of a variety of different species, including the reptilians. So when the reptilians share their DNA with the hybrid child, it allows for all of the donors of DNA to then share their wisdom and understanding with the reptilians and vice versa. Again, it is in many ways like the child is acting as a master school, not just for the child's own development, but also for all of the donors of DNA as well. So in many ways, you could say that the reptilians are in many ways sharing DNA with you through some of these hybrid children. There are hybrid children that are not utilizing reptilian DNA, but there are a great amount that actually are in combination with a variety of other species altogether.
Thank you very much. I think we are at the end of the time we have.
All right. We thank you tremendously for this interaction and this communication. It has been our pleasure to be able to speak with you.
Sorry, one more question, if it's possible.
All right. We will allow for one more question. That is all right.
Thank you.
May you introduce me as someone, I don't know, in the universe that is specialized in physical materialization, and share some tips about that topic?
Physical materialization of non-physical concepts. The idea is crystallizing something in the dream world or in the etheric plane into your 3D reality. Is this what you are describing?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, there are varieties of ways to do this. Remember, you're doing this automatically all the time. That's how you create reality. You understand this?
Yeah.
That is how you actually manifest. You're taking a vision in the imagination and you're crystallizing it in. The idea is to get more and more and more familiarized with this process of conscious manifestation. Visualize that. Become an expert at that, and you will find the manifestations will become so rapid and so quick that you may find some of them become instantaneous. Mm-hmm. Where all of a sudden you say to yourself, I wish I had a new coffee table. And then before you know it, you're driving by and your neighbor is giving away a free coffee table. Understanding that the manifestations can instantaneously appear through a variety of different ways through which you call the path of least resistance. Some people on your reality plane are able to get so well versed in this, they can actually pull it right through into the room they're in, as if it just teleported from one location different than their own into their own location. The idea is the skill of manifestation and the expertise of this skill is what is fundamentally required to allow for it to then evolve to that level where you are simply pulling things out of thin air. But remember, you're already pulling things out of thin air. The idea is just become proficient at it, and it will become faster and faster and faster, and you will recognize again you are God itself, creating however you wish to create. And once you're at that level, you will find things will just plop right into your hand if you really follow it to that intensity of a degree. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You are quite welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it has been our pleasure to be able to interact with both of you. Thank you so much for this interview and for this unique communication. Our love to all of you and each of you, collectively and individually, for now and for always.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I hope you both enjoyed that. I definitely did. that was a class to be able to do.
Absolutely. So I think we're out of time. Right?
Yes, that is correct. We are at the mark.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It was really, really, really great. Awesome.
Amazing. Thank both of you for the interaction and amazing timing with that thunderstorm. That was like, you know you're on the right path when you're having these conversations. Thunder and lightning start going off.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah.
I would love to. Please, I would look forward very much to being able to be on the show again. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, friends. Have a great day.
Bye.
See you.
You too.